Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. This is Dominaria Prerelease Weekend. I hope you're at your LGS having a good time. And if you're there and you're thinking about picking up some singles, well, we got you covered. We're going to talk about the hot and cold cards you'll find right now in Standard as well as Modern. We'll look at some vintage Magic cards as well, see what they're doing, and even check in on a little bit of Pauper. Some Commander will sneak in here and there as well, so a lot to talk about. The big story this week, though, is the Modern market coming off of GP Sydney and GP Hartford last weekend. There's a lot of big changes going on, and we're going to talk about all of those. Also, if you're interested in Dominaria single prices, we're not going to talk about those in this video because we did a companion video yesterday. I'll link it at the end if you need to catch up there. With that being said, just a really fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support what we do here at the channel. Our Patreon page is down below. You'll also find links to products on Amazon. If you make any purchases on Amazon, a small percentage will come back to the channel, actually no matter what it is once you go through that first link. And finally, Flipside Gaming still offering a promo code for our viewers. Hopefully you can save some cash while you support the channel at the same time. Again, as always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to all the viewers. You all make the channel what it is, and let's get into it. We're going to begin with the top 5 standard legal cards that have lost value this week. You're going to find a lot of the big ticket cards here that a lot of folks are shying away from until they see how the new meta is going to unfold with Dominaria being added to it. So that's part of it. Also, too, the challenger decks hitting the market have kept a few cards relatively soft, too. So let's get into it with number 5. Dire Fleet Daredevil, down 49 cents to $8. This one's kind of interesting to me because it had a very successful standard, and this is a nice tick down, actually, this week for the card. I don't think this is going away in the new standard meta or anything like that. I think the card's too good, and it's starting to permeate Modern more and more in those humans decks. As a matter of fact, at GP Sydney this weekend, the teams coming in first and second place were running humans decks. The team in first place ran 2 of these in the sideboard, and the team in second place ran 1. So you're starting to see more and more of this card in other places other than standard. One to watch, definitely, in the future. Number 4, Rekindling Phoenix, down 57 cents to 28.87. This was maybe the marquee card of the previous meta. Is it going away in the new meta? No, I don't think so. This is also a great upgrade card for the Mono Red Challenger deck, and sometimes even the Vehicle Challenger deck, depending on the direction you go with that. So I do think this card quickly stabilizes, probably starts to go up again next week. Number 3, Chandra Torch of Defiance, down 58 cents to 21.58. Chandra's been fantastic in standard for a while now. I don't think that's going to change again. Also seeing a little modern play, a little legacy play. There is one copy of her in the Mono Red Challenger deck, and with the new copies entering the marketplace, this card has been shrinking over a number of weeks now. I do expect it to stabilize quickly. Again, this is a possible upgrade card for anyone who buys that deck and wants more copies too. Number 2 has Red the Fervent, down 66 cents to 14.75. Second verse, same as the first. This is another card you'll find in that Mono Red Challenger deck as a one of. Another card that's been successful in standard and even a little bit in modern too. So even though this has been going down, I do think it will stabilize relatively quickly. Again, some players that bought the Mono Red Aggro Challenger deck, they might be looking for more copies in the coming weeks. Number 1, the Scarab God, down 87 cents to 28.99. Now, this has been great in standard ever since it premiered. I don't think that's changing with the release of Dominaria. However, this card did have a high price point. A lot of people have been shying away until they see what happens with Dominaria, because even though the card will still be good, you're adding a lot more cards to the pool, which means there could be more options for players. If they don't want to buy into a deck running these, which could be very expensive, they might have other viable decks they could buy into that are cheaper. If that's the case, this card will continue to be soft. Beyond that, there's a lot of graveyard hate out there right now. If you remember GP Seattle a week ago, we saw the blue-red gift deck come in 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. A lot of people are thinking about graveyard hate right now. They were before, thanks to the Scarab God and other gift decks. But if anyone wasn't before, they definitely are now, and I don't think that's going to change going into this new meta. I do think graveyard hate is going to be on top of mind for a lot of players. So I do think between now and the rotation this fall, this card might have a few good weeks where it bounces back, but for the most part, we're going to begin seeing a slow decline over the next number of months. All right, let's move on to the top 5 standard cards that have gained value this week. Number 5, the Immortal Sun, up 33 cents to $9. Now, there's a number of reasons for this. This is a good commander card that's going to help prop up the price. It has so far. This has seen play recently in approach decks. This could be an upgrade card too if you picked up the Challenger approach deck, as a matter of fact. So there's a lot going on behind this card. It's definitely one to watch. Number 4, Warkite Marauder, up 39 cents to $1.94. Okay, so I mentioned that blue-red gift deck from about a week ago that was extremely popular and successful. Well, this is in that, so stands to reason. Has a nice percentage increase this week. Number 3, Galta Primal Hunger, up 40 cents to $3.99. Now, Galta has had its moments in Standard. Early on in Dinosaur decks, we saw this in Monsters decks here and there, and maybe more recently, the Mono Green Monument decks have been playing this. However, again, a lot of speculation that considering we have Llanowar Elf coming in soon, and Steel Leaf Champion, which looks amazing, could that be a way to power out this card? Imagine playing a second turn Steel Leaf Champion off at Llanowar Elf, and then maybe another large creature the next turn, getting this out in turn 4. Feels like it's very possible, and there are a lot of people trying to figure that out right now. Number 2, Walking Ballista, up 71 cents to $12.99. This card has had a very successful lifetime in Standard. It's had some good times in Vintage. And most recently, though, the reason we're seeing the push this week is because of its modern play. At GP Sydney, there was a mono-green Tron deck that the team that came in first was playing. The team that came in second was playing a red-green Tron deck. Guess what? Both of them running Walking Ballista. So it definitely has a lot of attention on it, at least this week. Number 1, Paradox Engine, up $1.42 to $14.56. Now, this is a huge Commander card. This is here because of Commander more so than anything, especially in the more spiky Commander decks. This is a big part of what's going on right now. There also could be some Standard brewers even looking at this card again, because whenever a new set comes out, there are people trying to find ways to break the card. I guess we'll wait and see. Alright, let's move on to the crazy world of Modern right now. And first, we're going to look at the top 5 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week. You're going to see a lot of cards here that have recently spiked, but maybe had a lackluster weekend. Number 5, Pact of Negation. This is the Modern Masters version, down 206 to $22.94. This card didn't have a horrible weekend. As a matter of fact, at GP Hartford, this was a one-of in the deck that came in second, Amulet Titan. Beyond that, though, you do see this here and there in like ad nauseum decks and such. It's not seeing as much play as maybe it once did. However, you consider that along with the recent spike the card had, it is starting to snap back a little bit now. Number 4, Liliana the Veil for Modern Masters 2017, down $2.59 this week to $121. Okay, don't panic with what I'm about to say here, because Lily's still a great card. She's still going to be fine. Very good in Legacy, in like the 4-color control deck, for example, with her friend Jace. However, she didn't have a great week this weekend in Modern, and when you're looking at a card that costs $120, $125, she better have a great week every single week in and out. Now, it's Jund really to blame for this. There was a lot of excitement around Jund, and Bloodbraid got unbanned, and people putting that deck back together again. Didn't look all that great this week. Best result was 16th place at GP Hartford. Unless Jund can do better than that, expect Liliana to continue to drop, maybe even significantly over the next few weeks. Number 3, well, here we go. It's her friend Jace, also down. World Wake, down $2.59 to $128.24. Eternal Masters, down $2.87 to $116.99. Now, partially, this is due to the fact there was so much hype, so much attention on this card when it was unbanned, that you can't imagine that it could keep that kind of momentum. The card got really high. It was due to creep back down, and it's been creeping back down. The other piece of it, though, is now that the dust is cleared, we're starting to see that Jace is a good card, but not an amazing broken card or anything like that in Modern. As a matter of fact, this weekend, Jace saw some play, but not in huge amounts. For example, at GP Sydney, the team that came in second was running a Grixis control deck, which had Jace. The team that came in fourth was running a Blue Moon deck that had Jace. GP Hartford, the first Jace you saw, though, wasn't until 12th place in a Blue-Black Taking Turns deck. Again, if you're going to ask these kind of prices, $120 or so for a copy, you got to be doing better than that, Jace. You got to put up some better results for that, or you'll continue to slide down. And I do think that happens, actually, with this card. I do think it settles more closer to the $100, $110 range sooner than later. Number 2, Chalice of the Void, down $3.27 to $66.45. This is the Meriden version. Another really good card. It's good in a lot of places. Don't panic. However, didn't have an amazing weekend either. As a matter of fact, this is a card you typically will see in Tron decks, but again, at GP Sydney, those Tron decks that came in first and second, the one that the first place team was running had 1 copy in the board. The second place team's deck list had no copies, and they did extremely well. So with these kind of price points, again, you're going to see a softness if that doesn't change. Number 1, Dark Confidant. Good old Bob. 2 versions here. Modern Masters 2015 down 340 to 85.99 with Ravnica City of Guilds going down 402 to $90.97. So another card that has been spiking aggressively recently, especially due to the fact that Bloodbraid Elf was unbanned and a lot of folks were trying to build Jund again. Now, also, beyond that, the Humans deck runs this. So, what happened this weekend? Well, I mentioned already, Jund had a disappointing weekend. That's a big part of the softness here. Secondly, when it comes to Humans, the more successful versions are running 1 Bob nowadays. So, for example, at GP Sydney, the teams that came in 1, 3rd, and 4th all running Humans decks with 1 Bob. And also at GP Hartford, the Humans deck that came in 13th, just 1 Bob as well. So another card that really needs to pick up to maintain these price points. Alright, before we get into our top 10 modern cards that are hot right now, and yes, I said 10 because there's a lot of them to look at this week, we're going to talk about one modern legal honorable mention, although it's more of a commander card. And it is Day of Destiny, up $1.29 this week to $6.99. Now, we looked at this card last week. I just wanted to track it another week for you. It is going up a little bit. And again, this is more for casual formats, maybe commander. If you're looking for some fun interactions with some of these new Dominaria cards, this could be an interesting pickup, although I do think it stabilizes and declines pretty soon once the hype subsides. Alright, let's move on to the top 10 modern legal cards that have gained value this week. A lot to see here. Number 10, Marsh Flats from Modern Masters 2017, up $2.60 this week to $39.85. Now, these Modern Masters 2017 fetch lands actually have been a good deal for a while. Not that they're cheap, but they have been more affordable than the Zendikar counterparts. However, I think that's quickly changing. These have really gotten hot recently. They're starting to catch up with Zendikar more and more every week, it seems like. We're going to see another one on the list in a few moments. And it really makes sense because these are seeing play all over the place in multiple different decks and multiple different formats. Number 9, Crucible of Worlds. 2 versions here. 5th Dawn going up $2.65 to $69.99 with 10th Edition going up $2.66 to $68.83. Another popular fan favorite card, played in a number of different decks. Why is it going up this week? Well, at GP Sydney, the team that came in first, which was running that mono green Tron deck, they were running one of these on the board and it brought some attention to it this week. Number 8, Misty Rainforest from Modern Masters 2017, up $2.83 to $47.51. So everything I said about Marsh Flats just applies here. This card having a very strong week for all the same reasons. Number 7, Kozilek Butcher of Truth. This is the Rise of the Eldrazi version of $3.38 to $43.37. This really isn't being driven due to modern as much as it's just legacy. You'll find this in the Eldrazi decks there. And it's also a good casual card, but it's been hot recently, going up actually for a number of weeks. Number 6, Amulet of Vigor, up $3.90 to $21.39, and this is a key card of the Amulet Titan deck, of course. That came in second at GP Hartford, so another card having a good week due to the performance from the past weekend. Number 5, Power Conduit, up $4.19 to $4.98. Pretty nice percentage increase here. What's going on with this card? Well, it's not modern play. Again, this is more for the casual commander crowd. They're looking for ways to interact with the sagas from Dominaria, and this is actually kind of a fun way to do it. Could a strong saga along with this find its way into modern at some point? Maybe. It is something to keep an eye out for. Number 4, Stomping Ground, another mana-based card here. This is the Guild Pack version of $4.25 to $26.14. You could argue with all the play this has been seeing, not just in modern, but other places as well, that this has been a little undervalued recently, and perhaps it's just reaching more of an expected market price now. It has been going up over a number of weeks. I would expect a little snapback, but I do think this is easily a $20 to $25 card going forward. Number 3, Engineered Explosives. This has been super hot recently. The Modern Masters version going up $6.24 to $84.99. Ever since the meta shifted in Modern, more and more people have been running these out of their sideboards, and we saw this again this weekend at the GPs. As a matter of fact, the Hollow One deck, which was part of the GP Sydney team that came in first, ran 2 of these in the sideboard. You're starting to see more of that now, even. Some decks running 2 as opposed to just 1. Number 2, good old Goblin Lore. Speaking of Hollow One, 3 copies here. Portal Second Age, going up $5.51 to $39.99. Starter $19.99, going up $12.57 to $40. 10th edition going up $13.56 to $39.45. Those are actually all pretty comparable in price, which is pretty interesting. Like I just said, we did see Hollow One do very well at GP Sydney. Guess what? It didn't do bad in GP Hartford either. There was a copy in the top 8. And number 1, you can't keep this card down. Mox Opal. Okay, this card is a Mirrodin version of $14.04 to $109.98. The Modern Masters 2015 version actually just missed our list. However, it went up a little bit this week too. It's not quite at $100, but it's close. This one crashing past the $100 mark. What was the catalyst for this? Well, an amazing weekend is basically what caused it. For example, GP Sydney, the team that came in second place, they were running an Affinity deck. That will definitely do it. GP Hartford, though, the player that came in first running Ironworks Combo, another deck in the top 8 running Affinity. So it just looked incredible this weekend. It's an amazing card. All right, let's move on to our Vintage Spotlight. We're going to talk about some older Magic cards that are at least notable. We'll begin with some that are losing value. First one is Guardian Beast, down $15.51 to $200.58. This is a reserve list Arabian Nights card. I wanted to point this one out to you because I actually think $200 is a fair value for this card. This isn't for everybody, obviously, but if maybe you want to play some 93-94 and want to try this out, or just casual player Commander or something, or you just want to collect some of the old Arabian Nights cards, this is one that still has a fair price point. Not cheap, but I would say a fair price point. Hazan Tamar goes down a little bit this week, down $15.71 to $112.86. This is a reserve list Legends card that has been pretty hot recently and has been spiking relatively aggressively. Seems to be stabilizing now, and I actually think the price isn't going to get much better. If you can find this for $100, $110 somewhere, you might want to pick it up for your collection if you don't have one. Thunder Spirit from Legends, another reserve list card, down $20 to $69.99 this week. At times, this card has been over $100. It's another great 93-94 card, and it's a very powerful creature considering the time period that it was created. As a matter of fact, creatures in those days were relatively weak. This one looked like a powerhouse. It actually still is good by today's standards. If you don't have a copy in your collection, hey, if you can find one for $60, $70, you could definitely do worse. Survival of the Fittest, up $14.31 to $89.99. This is the first card going up this week. The Cease Vintage Play, it is a reserve list card from Exodus, even though it is on the reserve list because early on they did allow reserve list cards to be reprinted in special circumstances. So they did make a foil judge promo of this. So that does exist. That's kind of an expensive card though. This is the cheaper version, but it has a nice week this week, going up a little bit. Jihad from Arabian Nights, up $53 to $149.99. This is another reserve list card that is actually perhaps the target of a buyout, it appears. This is also a good 93-94 card, though, so you never know. But it looks like maybe somebody picked up the cheaper copies. Gaia's Cradle at $56.22 to $425. This is a key part of the Legacy Elf decks. As a matter of fact, a few weeks back at the Star City Games Legacy Classic in Milwaukee, the Elves deck took first place running 4 of these, and since then, this card has had additional attention. Probably some of it from true players, a lot of it, though, probably from speculators that saw that the deck did well and tried to pick up the cheaper copies, so this had an aggressive couple of weeks now. This is another reserve list card that does have an expensive Judge promo as well. Preacher from the Dark, up $78.29 to $99.90. This is a reserve list card from the Dark. However, I gotta warn you about cards like this. If they don't see extensive play somewhere, and they're just reserve list cards from sets like the Dark or Exodus or any of these sets that are really after Alpha Beta, Unlimited, Antiquities, Arabian Nights, Legends, there's a lot more copies of them out there than those early sets. So just remember that. This isn't gonna stay. There are some people out there orchestrating some buyouts and some of these reserve list cards that are from the later sets like the Dark. And there's also some people going back to the earlier sets and picking up cards that are not on the reserve list that have been reprinted. They are seeing some pretty sharp spikes, but then they are coming back down as they're quickly reintroduced back into the market. I think that's what's happening with Preacher this week. Transmute Artifact, up $164.07 to $289.99. Wow, so this is definitely a buyout. Somebody picking up the cheaper copies, trying to sell them back at a higher price pretty quickly, most likely. This is kind of sad to see because a few months back I remember doing a pick of the month video, where I said, hey, this is a really undervalued card. It's a really good deal. You should pick it up. Well, it looks like eventually somebody figured that out, and now it is no longer a very cheap card or an undervalued card. I would expect some snapback here, though. Mishra's Factory. This is the winter variant from Antiquities, up $378.98 this week to $749. Another card that's a target of market manipulation. And it has been a couple times this year, so this feels like the third buyout or something for this card. Again, they tend to spike pretty high, go back down once they're reintroduced back into the marketplace, but they never do go back down to where they were because of all the attention on the card and such. So, again, this is one to just keep an eye on. I would not pay $700-800 for it, though. That's way, way too high. Alright, we'll wrap things up with a quick Pauper Spotlight. 2 cards I wanted to focus on. First one being Utopia Sprawl, up 21 cents to 285. This is actually the Masters 25 version. I thought that was interesting and just wanted to show you that. It is going up. The original version of the card is pretty stable this week, though. This card does see play in the Pauper Boggles deck. However, it sees modern play too in land destruction, which might be the reason it's going up. And lastly, Circular Logic has another good week. This is up 62 cents to 6.99. Now, this is part of the Inside Out combo deck, which is very, very popular in Pauper. And I do want to point out, I've said this in past videos, but in case you missed it, this card was never printed as a common in paper, but the reason it is Pauper legal is because most of the time tournament organizers go by the Magic Online rules for Pauper, and this was printed in Vintage Masters as a common on Magic Online, thus it makes it in. Always check ahead of time, though, with your tournament organizers or the friends you're playing with, make sure they're okay with that. But yes, technically, this has never been printed at common. Alright, that wraps up the Market Watch for this week. If you do have any questions about Masterpiece cards, check out the last 2 Market Watches I did on the previous Saturdays because I did talk about them. I didn't put them into this video though because they have calmed down a lot. A lot of the values are dropping dramatically now. Things are stabilizing a little bit. So we'll kind of wait and see where everything lands. I hope you have a great time this weekend at the pre-release. Let me know how it goes. But until next time, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.